Hey, my name is RHoK, and I'm really happy to be here with my team. This has been an idea that's kicking around in my brain for about 2 years. I'd like to introduce my team. This is Maggie and John and Jason. We've been working, we pulled together just a few hours, or a day ago, right, to try to address a problem that I see coming on. The problem is with the Web 2.0, we have a kind of a dilemma coming on where information is, how do I go to the next slide? Okay, there we go. Information on the web is becoming segmented. In traditional media, we had magazines and newspapers that brought together information and consolidated it together, and you could see both sides of the issue and fully be informed on all of the issues in your community. And with the evolution of the web, what's happening is that information is becoming unbundled. And certain blogs, certain posts, and even now certain news stations and certain radio stations and programs are only espousing one particular kind of viewpoint. And if you subscribe and regularly read that, you're only exposed to that one particular point of view. And so as you gravitate towards that particular view, there's been a number of studies, and in his book, Nicholas Carr, The Big Switch, he's advocated and shows how we as a society are progressing towards polarization, where you will have a certain idea, and the more you're exposed to that sort of radical view, the more biased you become, and we lose the ability to actually have a dialogue about all of the issues that are facing us today. The other problem is that with the web, click-throughs is the monetization, the way in which people are making money. And what's happening is only the issues for which there is an advertiser willing to sponsor the ad there is the kind of article that's getting written. So if you want to write about poverty in Belize, you're not going to get any advertising because nobody wants to sponsor that. But if you want to write about scuba diving in Belize and travel and know how wonderful things are, then those are the kinds of articles that are going to show up on the internet. So not only is the polarization happening, but also the issues that need to be discussed isn't getting fair time on the internet. And also, there seems to be a lot of political hating, if you will, and distrust is growing between the populace and our representatives. And so I think we need a way to bring us together and collect our information and the news articles and text and video about an issue, but bring it together and develop an aggregator site that brings together the issues and both sides of the story and arranges them so that I, as a citizen, can be fully informed on the issue. And then also, as a representative, I can go in and I can look at how my constituents actually feel about a particular issue. And so that's where it comes into a little bit of the crowdsourcing. So based on that idea, I was very happy to get John on board and Maggie as a journalist. I'm sorry, Maggie's a journalist, John is a Drupal expert, and Jason's our graphics guy. And so we put together an actual Drupal site. We use Drupal. Drupal is a content management system. It's open source. And it is being used like all over the world. A lot of government sites are using it to create. No? Yeah? There we go. All right. To create sites. So this is the site. John set us up on uncork.org, and we have our domain up here. So first of all, there is a registration. So you log in as a user, and you create an account, and you say what kind of tags and what kind of articles you're interested in. So if you're interested in Atlanta, Georgia, United States, okay, you'll start to get issues that are around that particular, that are tagged like that. As issues come up, a editor works on the backside, and I'm logged in here as an editor, and I can add content to the site. And when I add it in, I tag it with the appropriate hashtags, if you will, and assign it to the different groups. And then those issues will show up when I, as a user, log in and look at the content. And what we did is we arranged it. We have a slider graphic here for all the different hot topics of the day. And then it's arranged into national, state, and local issues. And one of the big issues locally here, and in order to scope it down and get something really working today, we looked at the SPLOST tax, special local option sales tax initiative that's going on. And if I click on an issue, now I can get a neutral write-up on the issue, and then the pros and the con articles about that. Now let me see. This guy? Let's read more. So here's a general summary of what the issue is about, and then the pros on one side and the cons on the other side. And I can read and get all the information together. Again, this is an aggregator site based on the editor's opinion of whether that article falls on one side or the other. So we can present unbiased information, just neutral information, as well as biased information. It's okay if you have an opinion. That's what politics and this democracy is all about, right? So after I read those, then I can vote up or down. And then those votes are aggregated. And if I logged in and I said what district I was part of, it would know who my representative was. And then I could also pull from the ESRI database to look at then for all of those votes, how the votes are tallying up, how many people have actually voted, how many people are in my district that have actually voted on this particular issue one way or the other. And by also looking just the sheer number of votes, I'll be able to tell how important this particular issue is to my constituents. So it's trying to get the people talking to the representatives, giving them information, as well as then all of us knowing what all the issues are, instead of having Fox News or CBS or somebody else determine what they think is important. It's an aggregator site where we can get all of the issues on the table and discussed.
We got 2.5 minutes.
All right. Then I guess I'll open it up for questions.
I would just want to mention an awesome feature of this thing. It's written so that each issue is scalable. We have local, city, county, state, national, international categories. So we can drill down, do an issue as small as, do we need a stop sign on Elm Street, or as large as, does the UN Security Council need to vote sanctions on Syria? And it uses exactly the same architecture. It just needs to be, as for the aggregating news, it can be somewhat automated, but it also needs to somewhat be curated by an informed editor or a trusted user.
And also, even though we started it here for Atlanta, just as easily add in articles in Texas or Florida or wherever and start up. So it's very organically growing, very easy to grow across the country, across the world. Yes?
So then, who's actually submitting articles? Are users, or is it actual people behind the site, or you pull from other news sources and then post commentary on the pros and cons on those? Like, where did the actual news sources come from?
The way we kind of envisioned it is that every regional area would have to have an editor whose job it is to be aware of the issues that pertain to that particular area. And then they would log that issue, and then they start collecting all of the articles. It's investigative journalism.
It's somewhat curating. You would collect articles from your traditional media, from your AJC, from your New York Times. You would also collect primary sources. If we're talking about a bill that's in the legislature, we'd collect the raw text of the bill. We would collect, say, your legislator's Facebook posts or his Twitters about this event. We can automate all that, searching for certain terms. And then we can get informed but biased opinion. Like, say, for example, the mayor writes an editorial in favor of this. I, as a curator, would choose to put that up because I know even though the mayor has a bias, he's also informed, and he's worth listening to. But if it's like a crazy man on the corner with a tinfoil hat on, I'm not going to put up his article.
It is that bias, the unbiasedness that is going to be a little bit
It's good. I mean, that's what debate is about, right?
Right. producing that unbiased,
Well, no, we don't want to produce unbiased. We
not,
want
no,
everybody to have a
but that's
voice.
the key here. That coming with an editor that is going to be.
Oh, yes. Yes, and that's why
Yeah.
it's very important to have editors in this world that are unbiased. They are professionally trained to remove their own subjective opinion, and want to sway it one way. That's the problem we have, is that all these websites, they have an editor who is not unbiased and not professional, and they just want to, shout to the world that, libertarian, whatever, whatever the
Yeah.
viewpoint is.
I mean, like, obviously I have an opinion, but I can put it away while I'm on the clock, basically.
Can you have the articles come in neutral and then the crowd determine whether it's
Yes,
pro-con?
we talked about doing that, as whether you vote the article to be. There's a couple of issues with that, but yes, you could definitely. As a matter of fact, Drupal has a feature, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, that it can weight the articles and put them in order of who views them the most. So yes.
Any other last minute things from the judges? No? Thank you so much.